Hey everybody, welcome to a nicely attended episode of Miami Total Football Radio, the show. I don't know, I'm still working on the name. Franco Panizo, Jose Armando, Andrea Llanes, and Simon Evans all here in attendance. And if you want to hear the nicknames, then we'll go Cinco slash Island Jose, Ajicita, and not sure yet on Simon's nickname. Maybe Sandwich Simon. I saw someone mention that the other day, and there's an inside joke behind that, but we're still working on Simon's. But how are you guys doing? It's been, less than 24 hours since Inter Miami played Orlando City in the round of 32 of the Leagues Cup. And, Inter Miami came out with another victory, a 3-1 win. So how are you guys doing? I'm sure you guys did not get a whole lot of sleep, especially you two.
Yeah, it was a long drive. It was a long, long drive. And, I don't know if you guys go south, but if you go south, it seems like it's a nightmare. I mean, just going through 95 and then Palmetto, almost half the time closed, 2 lanes closed, and then 3 blocked. There's no way to go through. So long drive, but I think the adrenaline, makes us get home and relax a little bit and reflect, because I think it's really time to reflect with Inter Miami. 3 games that I just didn't see coming.
Simon, how was the rest of your, Wednesday night, Thursday morning? I mean, I didn't go to sleep until pretty late for soccer reasons and for some non-soccer reasons. But anyway.
Yeah, no, it was good. I mean, I have the same kind of issues on the 95. It seems as always they time the roadworks or the car accidents for after Inter Miami games. But I got back home. It was all good. I'm doing this kind of fitness challenge at the moment, so I had to get in a 45-minute walk when I got home. So that was time to collect your thoughts. You know what I mean? Just go out on the streets and walk around the quiet streets of Hallandale listening to a podcast. So
wait a minute. At what time was that?
What time was it? I went out about 1:30.
Oh my God. Willpower.
Yeah. So it's one of those things that if you fail, you go back to day one, So I'm 38 days into this program, so I wasn't going back to day one because of a rain delay into Miami.
Yeah. Very nice. Yeah, because we got out of the stadium pretty late. Jose, Andrea, I don't know what time you guys left. Andrea came in the pink today. Look, they're in the Inter Miami festive spirit. How are you doing, Andrea?
Hi guys, nice to be here. We had the same experience. I think you guys left before us. They actually had to remove Jose and I from the stadium and tell us
true.
We had to leave with a couple of colleagues of us, Matias from the Miami Herald, Tapia from Diario Las Americas, and we had to be removed because it was already so late and they kicked us out.
The stadium was closed.
What time did they close the stadium last night?
Like at 1 in the morning, I guess, 1:20.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
because DraftKings Stadium closes now, right?
Yeah,
officially it closes.
They didn't do that before, but now they do. Yeah.
Yeah, before we could stay working there for a good long while, but now we are being removed, which I understand for security reasons, and
right.
Things have changed post.
And
parking
we saw
lots.
like 3 accidents on 95. So
yeah.
Please, people, be careful when you go. When you leave Inter Miami games, please.
Costa, you were going to say something.
Yeah, people, I think, there are a lot of things that have changed in the last few weeks, but I think one of the other things is that, I don't know if you guys remember, but parking lots used to open, pretty close to game time. And now I think they open around 7:30 a.m., like for the, the
media
unveil. And yeah, I mean, it's a pretty long day for some people, because if they open at 7:30, that means, somebody needs to show up at 7:30 and be at the stadium. So it's different. It's a lot. I think there's still things that will continue to change.
Well, enough about our experience. Let's dive into it, because there was a eventful game yesterday. Another win for Inter Miami, a 3-1 victory against Orlando City in the Sunshine Clásico, El Clásico del Sol, as I like to dub it. We've got a lot to talk about in terms of the controversial calls, the performances, Messi. We saw a different side of Messi in this one. So let's just start with the match recap. Inter Miami takes an early lead, a golazo from Messi. Yet again, 7 minutes in, But Orlando City equalizes later in the first half through Cesar Araujo. We will get into the controversial calls that happen at right before halftime. Second half, Joseph Martinez gets a penalty kick that Messi said, it's all yours. Joseph Martinez scores, puts one away against his arch nemesis. Jose and I predicted that he would score, and alas, he does. And then Leo Messi puts the game away later on in the second half with a good finish inside the penalty area. So, where do we begin? Should we just start with an overall analysis of the match? Let's just start there, and then we'll get into the very, very controversial talking point that I'm sure we will largely disagree on here, as we normally do. So, Jose, what did you think about the game? What did you think about Inter Miami's overall performance in this one?
Well, I thought it was different from the first two games. I think, I thought Messi didn't go all out in the first half or the first 60 minutes of the game. And I thought that was the right thing to do because he wanted to play the full 90. And for him to play the full 90, he needs to manage the load. And I think that's something that he did yesterday. And maybe that's why, it was not as spectacular as we saw the first two games. I think his performance was good, of course, because he had two chances and he scored on both of them. So, I mean, that's big. But I think, at some point for Inter Miami right now, it's about, what can the other players around Messi start to do to help him out. And I think last night when Robert Taylor had that opportunity, he gets a good ball through on the left side and he needed to make the right pass at that point. And he was able to do that. So those, little details, small moments in a game, that can really help Messi. And so I thought the performance yesterday was good, but I would give a lot of credit to Orlando as well. I think they had a good plan for Busquets and Messi. Unfortunately, it didn't work in terms of the result, but I think they put up a fight.
Unfortunately, why unfortunately, Jose? You're an Orlando City fan now too?
No, because I appreciate when a team goes out and puts a good plan out there.
Yeah, exactly.
I appreciate that. So
they didn't come out 2-2 like we talked about on the preview part. You said they were coming out. They did not come out 2-2, brother. When they got out possessed by that large of a margin, they didn't come out 2-2. They played a very smart game. I'll give you that. Don't roll your eyes.
They showed, yes, Franco, is that you never accept things, but they showed how you can beat Inter Miami. They showed all MLS teams how to do it. A plan that works. They proved that on that first half, and unfortunately for them, the referee didn't help because the referee had some doubtful calls, some calls that he didn't make, and the penalty that he gave. So, unfortunately, it didn't work out for them, but they put a great example for all MLS teams that even though you don't have that much of a firepower like Orlando do right now, they don't have a scoring number 9, a good number 9 that can make a difference. If they did, the game would have been different. But they showed teams in MLS that this is a way that you can cause problems for Inter Miami and especially for Messi, who had the most problems yesterday with players going into him and not being as comfortable as he was against Atlanta.
It was a very South American side in Orlando, though.
Yeah.
So they know, they play a different game.
Yeah.
I agree that Orlando City played a smart game. The tactical approach was, I thought, spot on from Oscar Pareja. That being said, Orlando City didn't come out to play blow for blow. They stayed defensive. They tried to block spaces and passing lanes, and they did a good job of that. Aside from the early goal from Inter Miami, which was a dream start, after that, how many clear-cut chances did Inter Miami create in that first half? I thought Orlando City put forth a really good first half. Second half, we'll get into it. Maybe not as good, but obviously some refereeing decisions played a part in that. So, Simon, what did you think of that first half? We were WhatsApping there a good bit. What did you think of the first half overall from both sides?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it was pretty clear what Orlando's tactical approach to the game was, to sacrifice possession in return for having bodies that can get close to Busquets and Messi. That was obviously their game plan, and that carries some risks with it. And I thought they did it really well, and they frustrated Inter Miami for a large part. Certainly frustrated Messi. We'll get into that later, I'm sure. But also Busquets as well. They weren't afraid to be a little bit rough at times. But they didn't park the bus either. You know, they did pose some questions going forward. So, you know, this is it was a marked contrast to the way Atlanta approached the task. I mean, that is obvious, and I think it does give us an indication of what some of the better teams in MLS are going to have to try and do. But for Inter Miami, the encouraging thing is frustrating night. Team did a good job on them, and they still win 3-1.
Absolutely, and I agree with most of what you guys are saying. I agree with Andrea that the blueprint is there now. Right now, is it going to be easy, or are other teams going to be able to effectively implement this type of strategy on a consistent basis? I mean, it depends on that team, their personnel. But I do think, like Andrea said, that the blueprint is there, right? They did a great job of shadowing Sergio Busquets during the first half and not allowing Inter Miami that entry ball into him. And because of that, Inter Miami struggled at times with the buildup. And you saw Messi, instead of receiving the ball in the central areas where he's at his most dangerous, he had to drift out wide, out to the right to try to pick up the ball. And he was having not as much of an influence in that first half. Again, first half from Orlando City was spot on, very well done on their part. Then comes the penalty kick that kind of changed the game. Andrea, I'll go back to you because you sounds like you're ready to start the debates. So
Sure.
was it a penalty kick? Was it not a penalty kick? Akisita, lead the way here on your first video appearance.
Listen, guys, it was not a penalty. Let's be serious. I think what happened is the referee, Ivan Barton from El Salvador, gave Messi a yellow card in the first half. Deservedly so, I think. He gave a yellow card for him. But I think that in the scuffle that happened in the middle of the field, Messi should have gotten in the tunnel, going into the tunnel, Messi should have gotten his second yellow card because he was arguing and pushing some Orlando City players at the half. So when the referee came back, came back for the second half and didn't give Messi a yellow card, I knew like this game was not going to end well for Orlando because he deserved a second yellow card for what he did in the tunnel during that break. And then you got that penalty call that, for me, that was not a penalty. And it's unfortunate because now Inter Miami are getting famous. If you look all over media, international media, and everyone that is now looking closely for Inter Miami games, all of them are talking like this is the second decision because let's not forget that everyone knows by now that the fall against the one they called against Cruz Azul when Messi scored his first goal was not a foul. So they
Debatable,
are still.
though.
They were, yes, that's debatable. That's for everyone to discuss. But now it's becoming a trend for people to say that referees, especially referees from CONCACAF, who are the ones that are doing their jobs in this tournament, are giving reverencias to Messi. So that is
favoritism. Are you saying there's a good little bit of favoritism for Messi?
Yes, that is going to be a problem for Inter Miami because you get penalty
calls. Is it going to be
like
a problem? Be a good problem to have if referees are favoring you on
no, because
calls.
Then it's going to come for a time that referees are going to see what is being said about them, and then Messi argues a lot because like players from Orlando City didn't roll over like Atlanta did. Seriously, they showed more personality than what Atlanta showed in 90 minutes, to tell you the truth. So Messi is going to get in trouble with players and with referees. So it can become a problem for Inter Miami, but definitely I don't think that penalty against Orlando was not a penalty. I think Joseph faked it and.
Well, he definitely embellished it. He definitely embellishes, right? He definitely but there's contact there. Well, we'll get back to the penalty kick in a second because you touched on the interesting point of the perception of referees favoring Inter Miami. And I don't know if you, Andrea, and Jose disagree. I think Simon and I are of a similar thought here. I think star players get the benefit of the doubt more so than regular players. And that happens not just in football, that happens in all sports, right? You get the call. You get that benefit of the doubt, maybe more so than you deserve sometimes, but it's just human nature. Should it be that way? Probably not, but it is the way it is. Now, you said he should have gotten red carded at halftime for just like shoving and jawing and boquilla. I don't agree with that. I think if you want to say he maybe
There
deserved
was
a red card,
contact there, though.
so what?
You
What?
could see
It
him
is a
reaching
yellow,
out.
textbook yellow,
I don't know.
Franco.
Okay,
Textbook.
if you guys want to say he deserved the second yellow, I would understand that during the run of play late in the first half where he shoulder barges into Cesar Araujo.
If that was
Off the
Joseph
ball.
Martinez, he would have gotten a second yellow card there. I am
But
100% sure.
there, I would more be inclined to agree with you that okay, that could warrant a yellow card, and that would have been his second
Then
one,
why
and he would have been sent
why
off.
only because it's Messi? He didn't give his second yellow card there.
So then we can dive into that, right, Simon? I want to hear your thoughts here. I mean,
No, I mean, I think the only issue I think last night was the penalty, which we'll talk about later. I think I listened to what Oscar Pareja was saying, and I agree with him about the penalty, particularly the fact that the referee didn't go to the monitor to check it. So that is something I really agree with. The second yellow card, I think the guy is under more scrutiny than anybody else. Yeah, there's other players who get a yellow card and get involved in a little bit of something, and nobody's jumping around saying they deserve a second yellow because we watch literally every move that Messi makes on that field. So he's under more scrutiny. I think this narrative was already there with people that Inter Miami are gonna get favored. You've already seen people on social media before they even played a game saying that, oh, MLS wants Inter Miami to get to the final because of the TV ratings and so on.
That's true,
Look,
though.
I mean, is that not true?
That's
though?
true.
Is that not true? Does Apple
That's
TV,
true.
does Apple TV not want Messi
That's
to be in the
true,
final?
but then, of course they do. But does that mean that they're then going to a referee, a FIFA referee who's been appeared at World Cups and so on, and saying to him, "Hey, make sure that Miami win this game"? Come on, that's a conspiracy theory.
Of course, no. Listen. Hold on. So that's clear. I don't think that there's a conspiracy theory or conspiracy here, but I do think that there is a natural favoritism towards Messi because of who he is. Who wants to be the referee? Let's honestly think about who wants to be the referee. I mean, maybe there are some referees out there. There's some that are very.
That's what I'm saying. If you get a referee like that, then Inter Miami is going to have troubles because he's gonna get a red card, and in MLS a red card
I don't know
usually
if that's
means
trouble.
Hold on. Who wants to be the referee that red cards Messi?
There's a lot of referees, Franco.
I don't think you're gonna have a problem finding one.
Yeah.
Really? I mean,
No,
yesterday they pulled up. They could have done it. They could have done it on that shoulder.
Yeah,
barge.
and that's
because
what
the shoulder
I'm
barge
telling you.
doesn't come from the the shoulder barge. They're not. Neither one of them had the ball. The ball going to another player. I wish we could share the image, but we don't have rights with Apple TV, so we can't do that. But the ball is not in play for Messi or for Araujo. It is going, I think, out to Noah Allen, and Messi just lines him up and shoulder barges him. And yes, it's shoulder to shoulder, but neither one of them were playing the ball. So that is absolutely a foul.
Yeah.
Could it have been a second yellow? It could have been a second yellow, but was the referee going at was the head referee going to be like, all right, I'm sending Messi off at the end of this first half? Like,
I know a couple of
and
referees
also,
that will
don't
do
forget-
it. Marufo would do it, 100%.
The bar
Time to
is
go.
higher for a second yellow. The bar is higher for a second yellow, though. Yeah.
But I think
For
in this
Messi.
case it was higher because it was Messi. That's the problem, and that's why
It's pressure.
Pareja
There's of course
was
there's pressure
fighting
there.
about that.
Honestly, I didn't leave that game thinking, "Oh, Messi should have been sent off in that match."
Yeah, of course.
It didn't feel like that at the time.
But it gives Orlando City and it gives Oscar Pareja talking points because, like I said, it's not the first controversial call that Inter Miami has, especially Messi, not Inter Miami, Messi has gotten because he got that goal against Cruz Azul with a doubtful foul also.
Yeah, but that's I don't know. I think that's where I think sometimes it's just going too far because
Yeah.
it's a soft call that I think both of them are soft. I think the free kick against Cruz Azul is soft, the penalty is soft, but I think there's an argument if you're the referee. If the referee doesn't have an argument at all and it's something that we all agree that it's not a foul, then I can see how the favoritism theme can take place. But if not, I think I think if they go, that's a VAR penalty to me, and I think the reason they didn't go and check it is because they didn't want to overturn the ruling from Barton because they all agreed that it was a penalty. I don't know if they all agree that it was a soft penalty, but there was some contact there. And then the free kick against Cruz Azul, it's a beauty. I mean, it's a foul, edge of the box, but I mean it's a good free kick, so you have to give him credit for that.
Hold on. Well, no one's saying don't give him credit for it, but
The foul, Jose. I
The
haven't
the
met
foul-
one
Yeah,
referee
but
that has said that was a foul, to tell you the truth.
the foul, I mean, it looks ajena. He exaggerates the contact that was there, and he earns the call, which is all right. That's part of the game. It's part of the game. And that was in the first game. But in this one, when you see another controversial call, another iffy, soft foul go Inter Miami's way, then I understand why there's a perspective or a perception of that out there. Because, listen, going back to the penalty kick, I can see both sides of it, and I get why Orlando City fans would be mad, and I get why Inter Miami fans are, saying it's absolutely a penalty kick. I understand both sides of the argument there, because an argument can be made for both. If it was the other way around, I think Inter Miami fans would be just as upset about the call. There is contact, right? There is contact. The arm, the right arm, I think it's Antonio Carlos, his right arm, he stretches it out, and he makes contact on Joseph Martinez, who was making a run off his back shoulder and going to get that extra jump on that space, or that jump on that extra space. So he puts his arm on him. Joseph Martinez, a wily veteran, feels that contact, and he lets himself fall, right? Se deja caer. It's not an outright dive, but he definitely embellishes it to win the call. And the referee was right there in the line of it. He saw it. He made the call. You can argue it's a bad call. You can argue it's a soft call. I think it's a soft call. But you put yourself in that position. Te pones, you leave yourself at the referee's mercy when you put your arms up like that on a one-on-one situation where the guy's making a run and beating you to the space. So
Right.
it could have gone either way. I think when it comes to VAR, look, there are referees in a booth that are watching the replays. They have to determine whether that goes to the head referee and whether he's going to go make the decision on the field. I know not everyone agrees with that protocol or that process, but that's how it's done. It wasn't a clear and obvious error either way. Had you not called it, it wouldn't have been a clear and obvious error to call a penalty kick. And if you do call it, it's not a clear and obvious error that you need to negate the penalty kick, right? It's one of those plays that happens in football 100%. And soccer, and it's just Inter Miami came out on top on that one, and Orlando City did not. It did impact, and I won't say ruin, but it definitely changed the course of a very dynamic and interesting game. There was a tactical battle there up until that point. Once Inter Miami had the lead, game went back in their favor, and they were able to play a bit more comfortably. Simon, I think you're going to agree with me a good bit there. I heard you nodding in approval.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that's the problem with VAR is that there's no, that was a bit soft option in VAR, because I wouldn't have given that penalty if I was the referee. It's way too soft. There's no way that contact was enough to send Martinez to the ground. I hate penalties like that, but they're modern penalties. They happen in the game a lot more. And he's gone down, and as a referee, you have that power to go, nah, I'm not giving that one because he's gone down too easily. But once you go to VAR, it doesn't work like that. You don't have that kind of instinctive feeling. And the VAR people are looking at the images and saying, well, there is contact, as you rightly point out, and he's gone down. What are we telling this referee? Come and have a look and see if that contact was really enough on the replay. He's seen it. It's not like he's missed it. He's seen it. So it's really difficult to overturn with VAR. I just think in situations like that, they should, for the spirit of the game and for keeping people like Oscar Pareja happy, you send the referee to go and have a look at it to the monitor anyway, and you say to him, yeah, there is a bit of contact. Go and have a look at it again. And he goes and looks at it and goes, yeah, there was contact. It's still a penalty. But
it would be 3 hours.
But
they were doing that in the World Cup and in the Women's World Cup. They are doing that. They check everything. Every penalty and everything, they check it.
I don't like checking everything.
I agree that I don't like checking everything, but
especially after a rain delay.
A penalty.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I agree not checking everything.
But
The only
penalty
thing
you
they checked was
should.
the offside goal, right?
Yeah.
Yes, they checked the late Orlando City goal. That went to the monitor there on the side of the field.
And I think that wound
agree, you
up
can't check
Pareja a
everything.
bit as well.
So
Yeah.
let's listen to
But
Pareja.
that
Let's
wasn't
listen.
offside.
It was
was.
offside. It was offside.
Yeah.
Not on Araujo, but on the striker at the near post. He had his shoulder ahead. So let's listen to what Pareja said post game, because he was clearly not too happy, not too pleased with the calls that were made, especially that penalty call. This is Oscar Pareja post game.
But we have to start with the reality of the call of the PK and other calls that were ridiculous. And I don't want to say that the attention that we get in here with all what is happening, it becomes a circus. Today was a circus. The PK is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I don't know if the bar came today. So if the bar came today and we have referees there, then we have to be honest and go and see it, because the game deserves it.
Yeah, I was chuckling during listening to it right now. I don't know if that was picked up or not, but yeah, it's funny and I understand his point. But what do you think?
It's great for us because we can really talk about it for hours and hours. Hopefully we don't, but it's great for us. I mean, it's just awesome. I just love it. I think that's passion. That's that's why I hate when MLS goes out and fines coaches for just going out there and let them be humans
Let them
and
be, exactly.
feel the
Let them tell the
emotions of the
truth.
game. I like it. I don't agree with him, but I like it. I like it.
Why don't you agree with him? What do you not agree with him about?
Because I think that's a 50-50 call. And if it goes his way, then he's happy, celebrating, and he's thinking about the next game and he doesn't care. It's not like he's going to go in the middle of the game and be like, hey, listen, Barton, I think that's a 50-50 call. It's better if you don't call it and let's keep on playing. It's never going to happen. So
And one
sometimes,
thing that made him mad also is that after the game, when players went and talked to him, he red carded a couple of Orlando City players. So then you give a red card for that, but you didn't red card Messi when he shoved someone.
So Andrea is all aboard the Messi.
No, I'm just telling you. Why is he mad? Because that happened. Players went.
he talked about in Spanish. He talked about the second yellow
Exactly.
card. He thought Messi deserved a second yellow card.
All right. Let's do it quickly. Who thought Messi deserved a second yellow card here? Raise your hand or say aye. I mean, let's go, Simon. What did you think? Did Messi deserve a second yellow in this game? I think you said no earlier.
No, I was surprised that there was even a discussion about it after the game, to be honest.
Jose.
No, I would say no. But again, I would say it's a 50-50 call. The one in the tunnel, to me, that's a 50-50 call because that's unnecessary. So, if it's another referee, if it's another player, then maybe he'll show the second yellow card. But it's a 50-50 call. It's a perfect example. This time it didn't go Orlando's way again, but it could have. It could have.
But it didn't. Andrea, so you also... Wait, I don't know. Andrea, what do you think?
I agree with Jose, 50-50. 50-50. If it was a referee like other referees from CONCACAF, I bet he would have gotten the second yellow card there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm disagreeing with you. I'm seeing some comments here that they're just not with you guys there about the tunnel. I mean,
read them. We should read some comments.
Go ahead. Yeah, let's go.
Vinny from the tunnel, really? Jesus. He doesn't agree with me or Andrea that the tunnel.
Yeah, I don't agree that the tunnel interaction is not if you want to say second yellow,
bro. It's unnecessary.
That's fine. So what? You know how many unnecessary exchanges there are?
He red carded Orlando City players for unnecessary talking.
They were complaining after the game and
No,
got
No. Hold on. This is where the spiciness kicks in. You don't know what the Orlando City players said on the field to warrant those red cards, right? We don't know what they said. So maybe
but we saw images of the fight in the tunnel. That we know.
Fight? That was a fight, Jose? Really?
Let me tell you, this is
2023.
This is 2023. Still not the NBA, but I mean, it's getting closer.
A heated exchange. That's definitely not a fight. No fists were thrown. There's not a fight.
No MMA.
That's not a fight. Simon, please back me
You
up
could
here.
get
You know what
ejected
was-
for that in the NBA.
No, what was
It's not the
interesting
NBA.
about us. What was interesting about what Pareja said afterwards was when he talked about what I think got him really angry at the end was that they went to VAR to overrule his team's goal in stoppage time. I think that just added insult to injury to him. It was like salt in the wounds. But what he actually said about the offside call, he was like, oh, so they went to VAR to rule out our goal because the guy is in an offside position. And he goes, and he was offside, but not really that much. I mean, come on. He was like, he wasn't interfering that much, but he accepted he was offside. So come on, that's emotional talk. I understand
Yes.
it. There's nothing
His
wrong
team
with a
lost.
bit of emotional talk.
His team lost, and that's big reason
I
why.
get it, but to say the whole game, let's not forget the big picture of what he said. He said the whole game was a circus because of Messi.
Yeah, I think that was
think that's
crazy because
ridiculous.
the first goal was a beautiful goal by Messi by Inter Miami, and well, the penalty I can understand that he got mad with that, but also the third goal, it was a mistake. Orlando City made two mistakes in the first goal and in the third goal, and they paid for them. They would have lost even if they, maybe you could argue, like Oscar Pareja did, that they could have tied at least tied the game if that penalty wasn't called. But the first and the third goal were good goals by Inter Miami. Two mistakes from them, and Inter Miami, Messi especially, took advantage of those mistakes. They made them pay.
So unless Jose has something else to add about the controversial decisions or Pareja has comments, we'll focus on Inter Miami's actual collective performance here. Jose, this is your last chance.
No, I'm good.
All right.
Robert
so
Heron is sending me a message here. Says,
What
Jose,
is
the
it?
most physical thing that happened was Campana pushing Araujo.
I see
Poor
comments.
Campana, man.
I see
Oh,
comments
Campana.
from Tank721, and he said
Read them.
yellow
Read
yellow
comments.
card for Ajicita. So,
Oh,
Andrea,
yellow card.
you're one away from
Just
being,
one
ejected.
yellow though, yeah.
Just one yellow away. Bring Said Martinez. He's giving me the second yellow.
All right, so let's focus on the collective performance. Right, we've talked about the controversial moments. We talked about Messi. I think we can dive into Messi a little bit more because we saw a different Messi. We saw a frustrated Messi. Right, he cut a frustrated figure, especially during that first half when the game wasn't going Inter Miami's way, and that's what led to the foul or the non-foul that could have been a second yellow that led to the exchange, not the fight, Jose, in the tunnel. Why do you think Messi was so frustrated? Why was Messi that bent out of shape about the way those first 45 went? Was it just simply because Inter Miami couldn't play as well as they wanted to and couldn't continue to just boss the league around? Why was he that mad? All right, go ahead. What was
because
the
he
reason?
was shown a yellow card and he got frustrated by it. You know, he thinks he's the superstar. There's no doubt about that. So he got frustrated that the referee showed him a yellow card for that. So he got, he was complaining every single call. He was just very frustrated, but I don't think it was related to what Orlando City was doing. I think he was just frustrated with the referee, which happens very often.
Simon, do you agree with that?
No, I don't. I think it was a reality check that first 45 minutes for Messi because I think he's arrived in this league and in this Inter Miami world to a kind of pop concert first of all, and then a dream start off the substitute bench, and with a nice free kick to win the game, and he's a hero, and it's a Hollywood story, blah blah blah. And then the next game he's playing against a defense that just let him do what he wanted to do, and then here he comes up, and it's like, oh, they do this stuff here as well, do they? Like, this is just like being back at Barcelona or Paris Saint-Germain. All the defenders are around me. They're going for my ankles. The referee's not backing me. He's giving me a yellow card. I want to have the ball at my feet and be able to, play lovely exchanges with Robert Taylor and score another goal. I don't want to be dealing with 3 Orlando guys crowding around me. He was frustrated by that. He was frustrated by the fact
I'm with
that
you, Simon. I'm with you.
He's not here to play exhibition soccer. He's going to get this all the time, and I don't think he liked it.
I'm with you. I think it was like a rude awakening to a more
Yeah,
um, competitive match, right? A game in MLS where he's just not going to have the most fun and dribble and have open spaces to go at people and just turn and do all the magical things he can do with the ball at his feet. I think it was kind of oh, wait a minute, these guys aren't going to let me have my fun. What's going on here? I don't think it was the
exactly.
yellow card. I don't think it was the yellow card because I just rewatched on Apple TV the yellow card he gets, which he gets for fouling Peruvian midfielder Wilder Cartagena. Um,
Which should be a red then if he's a Peruvian, right?
I don't even know that one. I would say I don't. It could have not been a yellow, and I think that he gives Messi a
Was
yellow
from
to
behind,
finish.
wasn't it? Yeah.
It was from
It was
behind.
from behind.
It was
I think
late.
it was a yellow card. Yeah.
It was
it
late, but it could have also just been like, all right.
And
like,
he
next-
had a
next one you
couple
get
of fouls before that. That is why he got a yellow card there. Because
Well-
he had a couple of fouls before that.
regardless, Messi's reaction is kind of like confused, and then he just walks away. You don't really see him angry.
Oh,
or
he was
angered.
frustrated by that.
I think it was
He
the game,
was.
man. I think
He
it was the
was
game. Tactically, you saw him again
I
drift
think
out
it
to
was
the.
a combination of both. It was a combination of both, I think.
I'm sure the
I-
yellow
I think-
added to the frustration that he had. Let's
A little
agree
bit
on that.
Yeah.
soft, just that yellow card. But I think just the first. Listen, he scored early on. I mean, no reason to be frustrated there. I mean, I think just the way that Orlando City played, they played with two holding midfielders there to not allow him much space and time on the ball. They shadowed Busquets. Everyone says you have your most fun with football when you have the ball and you're in possession and you're knocking it around. And clearly, that's what his whole career has been. Just him with the magic of having the ball at his feet. And he couldn't have it in comfortable spots and do what he does best. I think that's what got him that frustrated. And, in the second half, he got more space, especially after the penalty kick goal. He gets the goal that caps everything, that puts it on ice. Another nice finish with his right foot past Pedro Galese, another Peruvian. Shout out to the Peruvians. But Inter Miami overall, I think they were still the better team on the balance of play. I don't know if you all agree with that. I think you guys do.
Yeah, absolutely.
That they were the better team on the balance of play. Even though the game came down to controversial call in the end, I still think Inter Miami did not deserve to lose the game based on what we saw. Now, the game could have played out differently had it been 1-1, and you see those last 30 minutes at 1-1. Maybe. But from what we did see, Inter Miami did not deserve to lose that game. And they pulled it out. They won. There was oles. They started knocking the ball around very Barcelona-like, which was really impressive to see and fun to see and hear La Familia and everybody at Drive King Stadium chanting, ole, ole. I really enjoyed that. I mean, it's not too common you see that in MLS. I know it's happening
Right.
in Inter Miami games, but it's just another fun element to what was a fun night for Inter Miami, winning the derby, winning El Clásico, winning the rivalry match. So collectively, what do you think of Inter Miami in this one? All right, we've talked about the controversial calls. We've talked about Messi. Collectively, what do you think of Inter Miami, Andrea?
I think Inter Miami have, with Messi and Busquets, have become a little bit more solid. Players like Kremaski and Robert Taylor are getting more spaces and are getting comfortable with Messi moving around like he did in this game when with his frustration and good marking from Orlando City. I think that is good for the team, but I also think that in defense they are not as strong as they need to be to really push through to get to the playoffs in the league, at least at this moment right now. I think their defense is still their weakest link.
Jose, collectively, did you like what you saw from Inter Miami? Again, you gave Orlando City credit, and I did too about the game plan they put forth. But overall performance over the course of 90 minutes, did you like what you saw from Inter Miami?
I think they can do more. I think they can do more because I think we're still, as you ask me and you mentioned the word collectively, immediately my mind goes to Busquets and Messi. So they make everything happen for Inter Miami. So what is DeAndre Yedlin doing? Yes, he's more active, but is he really contributing as much offensively? He's not. No, Allen, we cannot ask much from him. But when both fullbacks move forward, are we getting plenty of touches from them? Good crosses, we're not getting a lot. The only player that we're getting, some good stats from, it's Robert Taylor, and that combination. So collectively, I think there's still room for them to grow because they rely a lot right now in Busquets and Messi. And honestly, I wouldn't change anything as of right now because they're winning games like that.
Simon, please tell me that you have a more positive outlook on the collective performance.
I do, but I think the point has to be made as well that when Orlando set up in a way that did block Busquets from being the creative force and finding Messi at will, and did crowd out Messi when he got the ball, then you asking a question of the other team, then, okay, what are you going to do now? You've had 5 or 10 minutes and you've realized this isn't really getting you anywhere. You've had possession, but every time you try and play it into Messi, the ball's breaking down and you're not getting it through to him. Okay, try something different then. And they didn't. They carried on doing that and didn't really find another way. Now, I think at halftime, that would have been what Tata is saying to the team, that, hey, if there isn't always the pass there, let's have a look somewhere else. Let's go to Robert. Let's, and he did in the first half. He pushed the fullbacks up really, really high at one time, didn't he, to try and ask.
He tried to create space in the middle. Yeah, he tried to create space in the middle by having the fullbacks go high up. It was like a front five actually because of how high up they were. And that was to create the width of space in the middle.
The problem is, and if this team ever fails to win a game in the next few games, it's going to be because of this. That when they have to go to something else other than Busquets and Messi dominating, there's not enough there.
There's nothing.
I mean, so
Yeah, Jose and Simon are right.
Robert Taylor
their
has delivered some
defense is
really,
not
really
strong
excellent
enough.
moments. Yeah, Robert Taylor's delivered some excellent moments, but what are you going to do? You're not going to go direct to Martinez. You're not got another playmaker in midfield. You've got Kramaski, who we've argued about and everything, who I think is an extremely promising player, but he's not yet that player who can be like a number 10 in a team at that level. So your options are very limited if that's not working. So that's really encouraging for the opponents who play into Miami. And the people who watch Dallas are going to be watching that film and saying, okay, this is what we've got to do. And then they aren't all that when you do that. So,
Yeah.
and Tata's got to start thinking of a way to have an alternative game plan for those times where he can say to them, you know what? Ignore Messi for 5 minutes. Lull them into a false sense of security. Start playing the ball another way. Let them just forget about Messi for a moment and then go and find him.
Can they afford that though? Like honestly, looking at the roster, can they afford to look someplace else that it's not number 10?
For 5
Can
minutes.
they do that?
For 5.
I have serious doubts that they can do that.
There's not much
if
there.
I'm
There's not
listen,
much
if I'm playing against Inter Miami and I see DeAndre Yedlin running to the right side up and down the field wide open, fine, let him go. I know he's going to get closer to the box and he's not going to put a good cross in. So fine, I'll take my chances. I just don't want him, moving forward and then finding Messi near the box or inside the box because that's trouble. So I'll let DeAndre Yedlin have the ball. As long as he doesn't get the ball to Messi, I'm fine. It's fine. They don't have enough. They can't move away from Busquets and Messi. That's why they're sitting in last place because they didn't have Busquets and Messi. Now they have them. They're winning 3 games in a row, international competition. So I don't know if they have enough. Maybe next year, or maybe if Facundo Farias and Gomez and
Aviles.
Aviles is center back. So I think those 2 players and Gomez. I think he didn't have a good match last night, but I can see some quality in him. So if those 2 players are difference makers, then maybe they can look someplace else.
You guys have all forgotten one key piece to this whole puzzle, and he was a player that also debuted last night. And that's Jordi. That's Jordi Alba, who came off the bench in the second half, made his Inter Miami debut. I mean, you're going to expect him to give you something in the attack once he's fully fit and starting games. Like, it's another weapon in the build-out. It's another weapon in the build-up to play through. And 2, you imagine his delivery of the final balls will be an upgrade over what Inter Miami has up to this point. So I mean, that's going to be one other tactical wrinkle that Inter Miami will be able to introduce fairly soon for longer stretches. So can't forget about Jordi Alba, guys, because once he comes, then all right, yeah, go ahead, shadow Busquets, go ahead, crowd Messi, leave Alba on one-on-one matchups down the wing the entire time, and he'll take that, and then he'll whip in crosses and see if he can find somebody. I mean,
Wow,
look,
you're being very positive right now.
listen, collectively, is there more from them to come? Absolutely, absolutely. But overall, look, they're a team that is in last place in the Eastern Conference, playing a team that's in fifth place in the Eastern Conference. Orlando City is not a bad team, and yes, Inter Miami was at home again, and yes, okay, but they played well with the ball. They weren't under duress a whole lot, right? Orlando did tie the game up and made it interesting, but how many saves did Drake Callender really have to make yesterday to really be like, oh wow, okay, Orlando City's on the verge of taking the lead? Did you ever get that sensation from up in the press box or Andrea down on the field? I never got that sensation that Orlando City, for as smartly as they were playing, that they were ever close to taking the lead. Did you, Simon? Did you ever feel like
Messi and Busquets on the field? They had Messi and Busquets on the field. Clearly, that takes them. That removes the whole element of being in last place. When
absolutely?
when it comes to a matchup, head to head, 90 minutes. Long run, I already told you they're not making the playoffs. They have zero chance. But when it comes to one night, one game, an elimination game, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean they can win that
What
game.
was the biggest problem with Inter Miami before this transfer window of gold, right? What was the biggest issue? They couldn't score goals. Why could they not score goals?
Coach.
Because
And
they
the
had
defense,
no.
Franco, they have
No.
still the same issue. And
The
with
biggest
Jordi
problem is
Alba,
the goals,
it's going to
Andrea.
be
The goals,
worse.
yes.
Jordi
No, the
Alba
goals.
doesn't defend.
The defense was not the main issue. The main
Goals,
issue was
goals,
the
yes.
attack
Goals,
and the goals and the lack of creativity from that midfield. With Messi and Busquets, you have just injected a whole lot of creativity into a team that didn't have anything. So yes, if Messi and Busquets are out, you go back to a team that has very little creativity, unless Jordi Alba is going to be a machine out there on that left flank. So yes, I agree that if you take them out, yes, this team is going to struggle. But collectively, as a group, with them on the field, and not just their individual play and sus individualidades, like you see a better team collectively. The way they knock the ball around, how comfortable they are.
No.
That one
I don't
sequence where
agree
they
with
knocked the ball around like for 30
No,
passes.
neither of us agree with you, Franco. Not Simon, not Jose, not me.
I don't-
It
I
is
don't know.
Messi and Busquets.
You're speaking
Simon
from
might be
Simon. I
agreeing
don't
with
know.
Franco.
Listen, Simon yesterday, and we absolutely need to get into this here, and this is a perfect segue because Simon yesterday was raving about a certain player, and
Yes.
that was Benjamin Kremaski.
I knew
Now-
we'd get this eventually.
Yeah, of course. You were ready for it, brother. You were ready for it.
I'm ready.
Listen, actually, I want to hear what Simon has to say about Benjamin Kremaski, right? Because he's playing in the midfield. Obviously, he's not tasked with the same roles and responsibilities as Busquets, but he's there to help progress the ball forward. And Simon, you were very much in favor of how he performed yesterday, yes?
No, what I said to you, Franco, was I said, do you see now why people like this kid? Yeah, because, I heard you on the podcast the other day saying, oh, people at the club are really high on Kremaski and basically suggesting that you don't know why that would be. And I thought he showed in that game, especially in the first half, alongside the obvious error that he made and shortcomings that you will get with an 18-year-old kid. I thought he showed a lot of why people are excited about his potential. He's not the finished article yet, but there's a reason why scouts watch him and talk about him and why he gets called up for Argentina's under-20 camp and all this kind of stuff. And if you look at the way he collects the ball, his body shape, the way he turns, the way he looks,
The way he looks. You like the long hair? You like the little bob thing he's got going on?
The way he looks on the ball. No, he's very elegant on the ball. He looks comfortable with the ball at his feet. These are all
Jose
good.
disagrees with you, and Jose's smiling and smirking.
I think they need to find a position for him.
Yeah, I was gonna say that they need to.
I think they need to
establish
find
what position will Kremaski
What is he?
play.
A defensive midfielder? Because we're saying he's good with the
No.
ball, but he thinks he's a defensive-minded player. I think he said one time that Rodrigo de Paul was his
His idol.
or reference. So he thinks he's a defensive midfielder. Then
Exactly.
No, it's
more
not.
people are watching him because of his offensive abilities, his movements with the ball. So I think they need to find him a place.
He's I mean, to me, he's a box to box midfielder. Like, I don't see his strengths being overly defensive. I don't see his strengths being overly
He's not box
offensive.
to box.
He's somewhere in the middle. He runs around a whole lot, gives you a whole lot of work rate, can battle and scrap and help you win the ball back. And then in the attack, he does have nice turns. He does have nice touches. I think his range of passing needs work, which again, he's a young player that will come surely with time. But he's also not. He doesn't have a whole. Like, he's not very creative.
Shot.
He's not the most creative player. He doesn't have like the best shot. Right. So like, he's not that quite offensive, and he's not quite defensive. He's somewhere in the middle. I think he's a box to box midfielder. With Inter Miami, it's kind of been
that somewhere in the middle needs to change.
Yeah,
somewhere in the middle is usually not good.
To be a box to box midfield, you need to have a good shot, and he doesn't. At this moment, he doesn't.
I mean, I don't know if that means he can't be box to box. You don't need to necessarily be someone that shoots from distance to be box to box.
He's a number 8 that, in my opinion, could develop eventually into a final third. If he improves certain aspects of his game, he could be more of a 10 or something between an 8 and a 10. There are no 10s really in football anymore, are there? So something in that range. That's where I see him. The things that I like about his game are the things he does in front of the 10, 15 yards away from the penalty area. And his improvement needs to be what he does when he gets nearer to the penalty area.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think that's why they need to find him a role.
Role, exactly.
Something that he, that he can excel with at this point in his career, but at the same time continue to grow.
Get better.
Yeah. I think he obviously he's a promising player. There's no doubt about it. I think from the group of academy players. Academy, because how many years?
Why? Franco,
Let's not get into that.
Seriously,
but academy players.
I'm just. I don't know why you said academy players, but okay.
Well, David Ruiz spent 7 years in another academy that's not Inter Miami.
Benjamin Kremaski also.
Weston. So, but let's not get into that.
We can save that for another pod later on.
They are labeled as academy players from Inter Miami, although they play 1 year with them, but. I think if they are able to find him a role, then they really have a player. They really have a player in there, and I think Kremaski, without a doubt, is out of that list of 6 players. Is it? And now, especially with Ian Frey injured, I think he's the top prospect for Inter Miami right now.
I would agree that he's the top prospect right now. I do think
Drake is no longer a prospect, right? Even though he's still young, but
he wasn't an academy. He wasn't an academy player. So I do think. He does need to add elements to his game, especially in the attack. Maybe I don't see it quite yet, but maybe he could develop something like Michael Bradley, who would crash the box, make those trailing runs into the penalty area at a young age, and finish off goals that way. That's certainly a possibility, especially with all these.
So that's where I think you're getting him wrong. I think if you're comparing him to Michael Bradley, that explains to me why you're not rating him too highly, because I don't think he is that kind of aggressive box-to-box midfield guy. I don't think he's strong enough to be that kind of player.
So what is he then? You said he's an 8. What, an 8 is a box-to-box midfielder, no?
Not really, not in that system. I mean, if you're playing a 3-man midfield, effectively, you've got your defensive midfielder at the moment, that's Arroyo, no? And then you've got Busquets as your kind of holding creative midfielder, your deep-lying playmaker, whatever you want to call him. You've got your 4 and your 6 there. He's the one in front of those 2 guys. He's the one in that position in the gap between the midfield and the attack, which is a little bit of an ill-defined position a lot of the time. It depends what system you're playing and how you're playing it. I mean, if he was playing for Manchester City, he'd probably be going out left, and then Taylor would be cutting in the middle, and there'd be all sorts of interchanges going on. They haven't got to that level yet. I think Tata wants them to play that kind of football, but they haven't got to that yet. So everyone's still playing in these little pockets of space. But that'll come. I think he's a final third player. I think he's got to definitely work on his shooting. If he's weak on that, and I haven't seen evidence of him having a good shot either, but it's those little touches and turns and just getting away from a man and just using the half spaces and stuff. I think he could develop that way. Who knows? But we're talking about potential with an 18-year-old, aren't we? We're not talking about what he's doing right now as a complete package.
Sure.
Do you think he
you
could
see the
be?
starting points, though, but you see the starting
Yeah.
points of what he could become. And
Absolutely, yeah.
I don't see like necessarily, although he did play that pass to Joseph Martinez, to be fair. He did play the pass that led to the controversial penalty kick, if I'm not
He's
mistaken.
good with the ball. He's not Dixon Arroyo. I mean, he's good with the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, you can expect that pass from him. So I think, listen, mate, I can see him, in Simon's role. Maybe if he grows into Jean Mota, maybe, taking that role, similar role, maybe he
I
can
don't see him
excel
having
at
the
that
same
position.
characteristics as Gene Mota. Gene Mota's more
So,
technical, more range of passing. I don't see that from Benjamin Clemas.
well, Jean Mota is, he's already a player.
I
Kremashi
think the
still
problem with Kremaski is going to be the arrival of Facundo Farias, who beat him up in that position to play with Argentina's under 20 and has more experience. So we're going to see the problem with these guys is David Ruiz already went to the bench. Now Kremaski, I think, is going to go to the bench too. So we'll have to wait and see what is Tata's plan, especially also because Tata asked specifically for these three young players, Gomez and Farias and the other central defender, Aviles. So I think we will have to see that how Benjamin Kremaski can continue to develop if he doesn't play or gets a lot of playing time from now on.
But
So
that goes back
is
to
Farias
the
going to
point
play in the midfield, though, or is he going to play out on the wing?
He's going to play. Forget about where he's going to play. He's just going to play.
Right, but that doesn't mean he's going to take Benjamin Kremaski's. Listen,
Then who else
They're
is
not
going to
bench
take out?
Robert Taylor, frankly.
Taylor.
Given the form Robert Taylor's playing right now, it's looking unlikely you sit him.
Kremaski.
It's an easy choice. I mean, there's
But I
no
don't
other.
think it's.
Simon, go ahead.
Well, no, Jose made this point the other day that probably a lot of these young players are going to end up going to the bench or out of the team, and I agree with that, and that's not a problem either for 18-year-olds. Like, you can't assume that an 18-year-old should be a guaranteed starter in a team that wants to win things, unless they're an extraordinary talent like Messi was when he was 18, right? The question that raised, and I thought about it when Jose said that, was, okay, but how do you develop these players? Because there isn't a natural, this season particularly, right? You're going into must-win games all the time now. US Open Cup, must-win game. Every game in the Leagues Cup, must-win game. Then you're going into this 12-game stretch in MLS where they're all must-win games because they haven't got much margin for error, right? Until
will change though in a month. In a month, the rest won't be must-win games. That's the time.
They're gonna get the opportunity
after the international break.
To the international break. They're gonna get their time there. But I think that's something to look forward, especially because Tata asked. If Tata saw what the youngsters that he had, and Tata thought, okay, we have Ian Frey, we have David Ruiz, we have Kremaski. And what are the players that he brought? Exactly those positions. Ian Frey, he saw him as a central defender. He brought a central defender, same age. Then he brought an attacking midfielder for Benjamin Kremaski, and he brought an attacking midfielder for David Ruiz. So he sees them as an upgrade to what he already has. So I don't think we're gonna see these guys. Unfortunately, Ian Frey is injured, but with David Ruiz and Benjamin Kremaski, I don't think we're gonna see them a lot for the rest of the season.
I disagree. I think Kremaski will continue to get a lot of minutes. Maybe he doesn't start every game like he has been, but I think he continues to see a lot of minutes.
And again, this is subject to injuries.
They rate him highly.
Mm-hmm. Injuries open opportunities for Ruiz that might not have been there this year for him. And
where Kremaski could lose his minutes, I don't think it's with Farias. Where he could lose his minutes is with Jean Mota. If Jean Mota gets back to full health in the next month or so, then I think there's a chance that Kremaski then loses his place in the lineup. I don't think Farias is coming to take his place in the lineup. I think Farias will be a choice, that could play on the wing in place of Robert Taylor, or be a super sub for this second half of the season. I think that's where Farias is going to play. I think you're looking at Jean Mota more as Benjamin Kremaski's direct competition for that place in the midfield that Simon described. Very quickly, just want to hear your quick thoughts. And I heard Jose's yesterday, so I'll start with Andrea this time. On Diego Gomez, who also made his debut, what'd you think of his performance there in the midfield?
He was very nervous, got a yellow card just 2 minutes after he came in. He needs to get used to the physicality here in MLS play, especially because it's different than what he has experienced. I think he'll need to learn that. He'll need to learn how the game is played here. I think he has qualities, but I personally don't think that he is 100% ready to take Dixon Arroyo's place. I think we're gonna see him come in like we did when Busquets gets tired or Dixon Arroyo gets tired, injured or whatever. I don't see him taking not Dixon Arroyo's place right now or Busquets' place right now.
It's hard to forget because of the way this summer has gone with the transfer window and how much attention there is on everything now with Messi and everyone. That he's still a teenager. He's still a kid, right? Or he's 20, but he's still fairly young, right? So it's his first game. He's thrown into a Clásico that's tight, intense.
That doesn't matter, Franco, please.
What do you mean that doesn't matter?
In first division.
Class. I was just going to say the same thing.
It's not a Clásico? It wasn't a Clásico?
No, it's not a Clásico for a Paraguayan player. That's not a Clásico. He barely knows that Orlando existed.
Exactly.
But it's still a Clásico in terms of what the game is and the way the game is unfolding.
That doesn't matter. That wasn't the reason he was nervous.
So he was just nervous.
I'm sorry, we need to really stop this Clásico thing in general with this game because we had some ludicrous discourses going on. I mean, I know there was a little bit of mistranslation and so on, but when comparisons are being made between Real Madrid, Barcelona, I mean, or even for that matter, Shakhtar Donetsk and Dinamo
Kiev. Jesus Christ, help us, please.
It's Orlando into Miami. Maybe it will develop into a rivalry, but
it's already a rivalry, Simon. What are you talking about? It is a rivalry.
Be serious.
It is a rivalry.
Diego Gomez knows the rivalry because he played in Paraguay, and the rivalry there is a real rivalry. Orlando City against Miami is not a rivalry. Let me tell you, Galese against Messi was more of a rivalry of a Clásico than Orlando City against Inter Miami. Let's be serious.
Terrible takes from
Let's be serious.
It's absolutely a rivalry.
So you're telling me Gomez was nervous about playing Orlando City? He barely knew the team existed. If I go and ask him the full name of Orlando City, he wouldn't be able to say it.
It was about the game. It's not about. It's the way the game was unfolding. Okay, it was a 2-1 game when he came on. It wasn't like they were up 4-0 and he gets to just come on.
So nothing to do with it being you're backing away. It's nothing to do with it being a
absolutely.
Because it was his debut.
Because it was tense. It was Messi's tempers are flaring. Absolutely has everything to do. The stadium was packed. We talked a lot about ticket sales and them being expensive. The stadium was packed. I don't think it was officially sold out, but it was packed. I mean, all those elements help make for something that could lead you to be nervous. Absolutely. On top of it being his first game with the team and all that. Absolutely.
No, I think it passes more from what I said, that he still doesn't know how this league works, and he
wanted to impress.
He's used to another type of football, and he was trying too hard. And that's why he got a yellow card. And then after the yellow card, you saw him get a little bit scared, a little bit more cautious because he thought, I could get a red card, and imagine that.
Too overzealous. He came in too overzealous. Mucha ansias. All right, very quickly to wrap up this show with the four of us on FC Dallas on Sunday. I'm going to put you guys out there now because Jose and Andrea yesterday said, and I hope all the viewers are listening nice and attentively here. They both think that Inter Miami loses on Sunday.
Yes.
I don't agree with that. Simon,
I think it's going to be tight, but it's going to be a different game. It has to be a different game.
It's going to be a different game.
Yeah.
But
so I think it's going to be tight.
Losing.
But I think
why do you think? How about that? Let's go there. Why do you guys think? We'll start with Jose. You can share with the viewers.
Yeah.
I'm used to saying listeners, so I gotta adjust there, recalibrate. But why do you think FC Dallas can beat this informed Inter Miami team? You're gonna talk about weather. You're gonna talk about travel. But go ahead.
No, No, I won't talk about that.
Oh
I
no.
don't think. No, no. I think this is going to be a very emotional match for them. This is the first test of Inter Miami playing in a different atmosphere where players and fans are going to be playing a final. They want to beat Messi. They want to eliminate Messi. The stadium is already sold out, so it's a big event for Dallas. And Inter Miami for the last 3 games, they have been feeding from the energy of the fans at times. When they struggle, they were playing at home, they were comfortable, the fans were pulling for them. It's going to be different in Dallas. Of course, there's going to be a lot of Messi fans as well.
How
But,
different is it going to be in Frisco, Texas, my friend? Tickets sold out, I think, in 20 something minutes today.
yeah, they're sold out. They're sold out. So, it's going to be an emotional game for them. So, they're going to struggle. And, the record shows that Inter Miami, the collective, like you want to call it, struggles on the road. They struggle on the
Struggles on
road.
the road
So
without Messi and without Busquets. Now they have Messi and Busquets.
they
You
will be
literally said that
better.
a few minutes ago.
Yes, they will be better. They will be better. But the rest of the role players, they struggle on the road.
They struggle
So
and Franco also.
again,
All
gonna
you're
be
telling
tight.
me, hold on,
It's gonna be
Andrea.
tight.
I want to hear Andrea. But
And
all
also,
you've just
Fran-
said for your reasoning for why they lose on Sunday is because the team before Messi and Busquets was bad on the road, so the team with Messi and Busquets is going to be challenged on the road. Like, you're not even talking about FC Dallas. You're not even talking about the
Well,
level
FC
of
Dallas,
Emotional
let's
game, I
talk
told you,
about
for
that.
them.
FC Dallas has weapons that Orlando City was missing yesterday. We talked about this before. Dallas has those weapons. Dallas has a good number 9, and Dallas has some dangerous players on their wings. So they are gonna complicate Inter Miami defense. Listen, last game, don't tell me like Facundo and all players didn't leave Christoph dancing with himself yesterday in some of occasions. So you're telling me Jesus Ferreira, Polariola, even Leggett when he comes in as a substitute are not gonna give trouble to that Inter Miami defense when you have Yedlin and Jordi Alba going forward. Dallas FC can create dangerous play for Inter Miami, more dangerous than what Orlando did yesterday because they have a better number 9 and they have better wingers than what Orlando had yesterday.
Sure, they have more offensive firepower. Defensively, are they going to be able to hold up against
It
Messi?
doesn't matter. You just have to score like Orlando did yesterday.
It's going to be tight. I mean, at least I'm not saying.
How can you say it doesn't matter how you
Franco,
perform
because we
defensively?
have seen this before with Zlatan. Zlatan scored 4 goals in a game, but the Galaxy received 5 goals in a game. We have seen this already in MLS.
Okay, so you're
It's not
predicting
the first time that MLS has a big star.
So you're predicting a shootout and Inter Miami loses. All right, Simon, please bring some reason to this discussion, please. What do you think about Sunday's game? Are you betting on Inter Miami losing after seeing how they've played in the last 3 games, which, by the way, have all been
No, I'm not betting on them losing. I think this feels like the shortest turnaround they've had. I don't know if it is, but it feels like coming off that game and suddenly we're with the road trip aspect to it, compared to having just had a week off effectively between 2 games, right? So that's going to be a little test for Busquets and Messi and Alba if he plays. That, like, okay, you come back in, you're feeling fit, you got back involved in the games a little bit ahead of schedule. Now you're asking to play in your 4th game on a shorter turnaround with a road trip thrown in, and with it possibly being even hotter than Miami there, although less humid, but still it's been really hot in Texas this last week or 2. But in terms of the team, I mean, I think Andrea's right that Dallas, with it's Jesus Ferreira, no front for them. They've got more there than Orlando or Atlanta had, but at the other end of the field, I don't think they're going to be as effective as Orlando were in closing out Messi and Busquets, unless they've really, really worked hard this week and drilled on it. I mean, they've got a negative goal difference this season, which Orlando don't have. I think the Western Conference is arguably weaker than the Eastern Conference anyway, and they're in the middle to lower part of that. So I think it's an easier game in that sense. So the game's there to be won. The question is, it's a conditioning question for me, whether these guys whether this starts to take a toll on them, after this impressive start.
I agree with a lot of what you said there, Simon, and I would predict Inter Miami to win this one. And yes, the heat is going to be a challenge. The travel will be a challenge. The crowd, maybe I have a feeling that a good portion of that crowd is just going to be there to see Messi and is going to be cheering for Messi all the same, even though the game's in Texas. We've got some predictions in the comment section. Vinny says 3-0 Inter Miami. J Dog says 2-1 Inter Miami. I think Inter Miami wins this one. I think that they will have more in the attack than FC Dallas has. I don't think Inter Miami keeps a clean sheet in this one. I think FC Dallas will score, but I think Inter Miami will. They're not facing Orlando City's defensive game plan, where defensively you had two pit bull terriers in there, in Araujo and Cartagena, pestering Messi all over the field. I think there's going to be spaces. I think Inter Miami is going to exploit that. We'll see what FC Dallas does. Again, I think they score, but I think Inter Miami wins this one. Against a higher level opposition, I could see it being more of a challenge. Maybe I'm overlooking FC Dallas here a little bit, but I just don't see them putting up the same type of fight.
I think it'll be a tight one. It'll be a close one. Could go either way. I wouldn't be surprised if we're back
for
the next round. Yeah,
I think they could go to penalties also. I don't think it's going to be easy for Inter Miami. I don't think they're going to lose 4-0, but I think it'll be hard for Inter Miami, and I don't see them winning as comfortably as they did yesterday or as they did with Atlanta.
Before you go, we got a few more comments there from predictions. We've got Penaldo, aka Tapinaldo, aka Benchnaldo, 4-2. He doesn't say who, but I assume it means Inter Miami. Tank 721 says we win a banger 4-3 on the road. Texas gets painted.
I could see that, yes. That is what I was telling you, Frank, when you told me you're crazy. Blah, blah, blah.
You said that you compared it to Zlatan and how Zlatan scored a bunch of goals and then they lost. The predictions all here.
Yeah, but that is what I meant. They're gonna score.
That's a 4-3.
But Dallas is also gonna score also.
Okay, so who's winning? Because you said Dallas is going to win. Or are you changing your prediction mid-show right now? You can do it now before it's too late if you want.
No, I didn't say Dallas was going to win. I said Inter Miami will have it more difficult for to win, and I think they could.
I say that Dallas will win. I said that Dallas will win.
Okay.
Tight. It's gonna be tight, but I think Dallas wins it.
Oh, so you're the only one that says Dallas wins.
Yeah, because I think when it's a special game, I don't like to compare Dallas to any other game like before this one. Because it's only normal that you step up your level. You pay more attention to detail. Maybe you do it only for one game, and that's why you're not playing at the highest level. But you're just too emotional. But sometimes it pays off. You're a little bit more. You just feel like this is a bigger opportunity. You know the world's gonna be watching.
Exactly.
You don't want to be embarrassed by Messi, so. There are a lot of elements that, you just don't have when you play Real Salt Lake, and they didn't have them when they played Mazatlan, last night. So it's going to be different, the atmosphere in the stadium is going to be different. I think it's going to be tight, but, just because Dallas is the home team and they will have that, extra level of support and energy, I think they move forward. If this was a
extracurriculars for other reason why FC Dallas is going to win the game, not because of what's going to happen on the field. Okay.
No.
Andrea,
on the field with Messi and Busquets, I think Inter Miami could be better, but I think the elements around will just take Dallas a step ahead.
Andrea, I just wanted to be crystal clear. Who are you predicting to win Sunday's game?
They're going to penalties. I'm not predicting penalties.
So you're predicting a draw?
Yeah, I predict that they could draw. Yes, in a tie with goals. Let me say that with goals. They are both going
3-3, 4-4.
4-4, 3-3, 2-2. They're
Messi
going
with
to
the
score
hat-trick.
goals. Messi with the hat trick, but the Pirata del Caribe also with a hat trick.
I think Andrea, I'm picking on you, but I think you backtracked a little bit because you started by saying, Zlatan with the Galaxy, they scored 4, but they gave up 5. That's where you started with that. Now you're saying, 2-2.
No, but because you were saying that you wanted me to say that Inter Miami is going to win. I don't think they're going to win in 90 minutes.
I think they win. I think they win in 90 minutes.
I don't think they will.
3-1, 4-2. They're scoring goals in this game. Dallas will score. I've said that from the beginning, but I think Inter Miami's winning this one. Against a higher level opposition, I think you could see more of a challenge. I just don't see FC Dallas giving them that challenge. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll talk about it next week. Simon, you said Inter Miami. Do you want to throw out a prediction or?
Yeah, I think
you already did.
I agree.
Score,
I agree.
score.
It could
I
be a
meant score.
high-scoring game. 3-2 to Inter Miami
Oh,
with a last-minute goal from 20 yards by Benjamin Kramaski.
Very nice. All right. Well, Len, I think we've touched on almost everything. By the way, did Jordi Alba start in this game? Very quickly.
No.
Andrea?
Maybe.
It's not an
No,
answer.
Allen didn't make enough, I think, for him to start another game.
I think it's not about Noah Allen, whether Jordi Alba starts. I think it's about Jordi Alba being ready to play full 90 minutes. If he's ready, sorry
I don't
for
think
Noah,
he's ready, but he can come and
can start.
get out by the 60th.
You have 5 subs nowadays, Jose. It's not 3 subs
Yeah.
anymore. It's 5 subs.
Yeah.
You can start and take them off at 50 or 60. Simon, does Jordi Alba start on Sunday?
Yes.
I say yes. I say yes. And then he gets subbed off when he fades and he gets tired, which will happen naturally. All right. But then that does it for the second show of the week here. I think it was a little bit better than the first. We've gotten some more of a hand on things. You know, we were figuring things out here. Still got some things to figure out because we were trying to get your comments in here, but it was messing up with the images of the 4 of us. So we'll work on that as well. Stick with us as we get through all of this and figure it all out. So anything else you guys want to share? Any final thoughts? We always do that with the podcast. I don't know if we'll keep it for the show, but since this is the first time the 4 of us are on, you have a shot to say a final thought about Inter Miami, about anything. We'll start with Simon.
Oh wow. No, I don't really have a final thought. No.
Okay. Andrea, you always have a final thought.
Well, my final thought for today is to remind people that you're going to keep getting international soccer in Drive Pink Stadium. Don't forget that the best team in the world is playing on September 3rd against Guatemala. And I mean the best team in the world, Honduras, even though Franco doesn't accept that. But yes, Honduras is playing, and hopefully people from Inter Miami can get there to support. Maybe they call up David Ruiz, so it's going to be exciting to see.
Jose, anything from you?
No final thought from Jose.
All right. So then that does it for me. I don't have a final thought. I've shared a whole bunch here. Very curious to see how Sunday plays out. Look forward to discussing it with you guys further next week. So we will return early part of next week. I'm sure, not sure what day yet. We're still figuring
Wait,
it
I have
all
a
out.
final thought.
Oh, here we go. Okay, go ahead.
No,
Jose.
I just want to go through the list of comments and thank everybody. Broward, Heron, Tank721, J-Dog, everybody that sent out a comment. Thank you. That's my
Vinny,
final comment.
Vinny was commenting.
Who else? Yeah, I mean, everybody that chimed
Only
in.
Jose and Franco can see the comments, just for everyone. Don't think that Simon and I are
Yes,
ungrateful
that's
mother
true.
Fs, but we can't
Yeah,
see
I
the
can't
comments.
see what's on YouTube.
DWA Universe. Also, Mother F's, Andrea says. Mother F's. You know when the podcast first started, Eric Krakauer and I, we used to jokingly say that the listeners were called MTFers for Miami Total Football Radio, which kind of could translate to something else if you really wanted it to. So funny callback there, Andrea. But anyway, all right. That does it for the show. We'll be back again early next week to recap, rewind, and analyze Inter Miami's match versus FC Dallas, the round of 16 in the Leagues Cup. Thank you for joining us. Good night, and we'll talk to you soon.